Game night, followed by the pregame, and of course the sultry tones of the G-Men, all the way to tip-off. All the action begins immediately after the Kettles and Ramie show at 5:30. Speaking of the NBA, we have a full slate on the docket today as all 30 teams are scheduled to play. A few headliners on the slate. The Suns are in Philly to take on the 76ers. The Bucks battle the Hawks in ATL. Rest in peace, Takeoff. Portland is in South Beach to take on the Heat. And the Celtics are in Memphis to take on John Morant and the Grizzlies. Also on the hardwood, college basketball kicks off today. 24 of the top 25 ranked schools are scheduled to play today. And in a little local news, top 50 ranked prospect and local star Andrei Stojakovic of Jesuit committed to Stanford today. Stojakovic chose the Cardinal over UT, of course, University of Texas, UCLA, and Oregon. Stojakovic is the son of former Kings Peja Stojakovic. He's ranked the 24th prospect in the ESPN Top 100. In the NFL, the Colts let go of their fifth-year head coach Frank Wright after a 3-5-1 start. The team named former center and current ESPN analyst Jeff Saturday as their interim head coach. Saturday had been also serving as a consultant for the team. Those are your Sac Sports 1140 headlines. I'm Jay Johnson. It's 3 o'clock, which means it's time for the Kettles and Ramie show. That's coming up right now.
It's the new spot for local sports talk in the afternoon. Kettles and Ramie. Kettles and Ramie.
I describe him as the best, obviously.
It's Kettles.
He throws it out there, speaks his mind. That's cool.
It's Ramie.
He's supposed to make people laugh. He's just an expert at it.
Kettles and Ramie. Sactown Sports 1140.
Fox comes up the floor, 2 seconds. Here's a 35-footer for the win. He's got the bucket in an unbelievable finish in overtime. De'Aaron Fox from well over 30 feet straight away after the Kings had turned it over on a two-man squeeze in the corner. Okeke took the ball to the rim for the flush to tie the score. And then De'Aaron Fox, no timeouts available. And Fox in his return to action hits a game-winning buzzer-beating three. Your final score, 126-123.
Woo, boy. How about that win, Ramie?
That's a finish. That's a finish right there.
That is certainly a finish.
Sacramento, where you at?
I mean, my goodness, what a win. What a win on Saturday. And you know what's great?
What's great?
I keep saying this at the beginning of shows, right? I mean, this has been now 3 wins on the season. In every single game, I felt like people looked at the Miami game here at Golden One and said, no way, right? It's one of those WL games that you have and you check the L off. No way are they going to beat Miami at home the way they're playing, 0-4 going into that game. Awesome win against Miami at Golden One. Then you go to Charlotte. You go, down by 15 at the half. No De'Aaron Fox. No way are they going to win this game. Yet they win it. Now, last Wednesday at Miami, I would say that was a hiccup that had really everything to do at the end of that game with the officiating. As we've talked about, that Tyler Hero travel literally changed the game. Like if Hero gets called for the travel, you have the basketball with 11 seconds left. Who knows what happens tied at 107? You could win that game at the buzzer like you won on Saturday at the buzzer in overtime. But man, this team's fun to watch. And Ramie, again, I thought Saturday was another character-building win.
Definitely a character-building win. They were down 18 at the half.
18.
Down 20 at one point in the third quarter and had the lead by the end of the third quarter and then win this thing in overtime on that shot. Man, he pulled up from the logo for that shot. That was incredible. Aren't you jealous of guys that make that look easy when you're watching basketball and guys just pull up from way out there and it's just like they're just taking a free throw?
Yeah, I'm jealous with a lot of what those guys can do. Yes, but especially that, hitting it from the logo and calling game,
just with ease. But that's what I was talking about before the season even started. Remember we asked what besides the defense are we wondering about this team? What's your biggest question besides the defense? And I said, does this team know how to win? Does it have the character to know how to win basketball games? Yep. And when things are bad, to not let it get them down. When things are really good, to not get too high and to stay. And when things are tight, to come up with those big moments and those big shots. And it doesn't get bigger than overtime, pulling up from the logo to put the dagger in the game and bring home a W. That's exactly this stuff is exactly what I was looking for from this basketball team.
They did it again in the third quarter. I remember talking post Hornets game, like, okay, don't expect those third quarters to happen very often. But yet here we are on Saturday, outscoring the Magic 36-12 in the third quarter, a drubbing in the third quarter. The Kings looked fantastic in the third. Again, Ramie brought it up. You're down by 18 at the half. Orlando's looking good. Paolo Banchero is on one. De'Aaron Fox is not playing necessarily great by halftime. Keegan is invisible. Kevin Huerter is having his toughest game as a King. The only guy that had it going was Domas at the half, and you're saying to yourself, could they do this again? Could they possibly do this again? And Domas, I thought he was really good, especially in the first half. Ramie, when you look at what this team did on Saturday, the starters in the first half minus Domas. You ready for this? So the 4 other starters had 17 points total at halftime against Orlando. Domas had 15. So Domas had 15 points. The 4 other starters combined for 17. The starters, aside from Domas against Orlando in that first half, they shot 7 of 21 from the field. Domas was 7 of 10 from the field. They were 3 of 10 from 3. Domas was 0 for 1 from 3. Collectively, those 4 guys, those 4 starters, aside from Domas, were a minus 75 in the first half. Domas was a minus 10. So, yes, we look back here, and we'll get into it, the idea of Fox's second half and what else happened in this game. But really, Ramie, they're down by 18 at the half. If Domas doesn't play as well as he did, they're probably down. It's a lot worse.
And you don't want that. Like you can't keep digging yourself those holes. And the second quarter seems like a problem for the Sacramento Kings team this year. You don't want to keep digging those holes, but when you do, for a lot of guys, any in any sport, you're down big like that, it's real easy to check out and go, oh, on to the next one. This is an L. You know what I mean? And especially for guys that have been around for a while with this Kings team and have experienced some losing in their careers. It's real easy to check out. And for Mike Brown to have his guys still in this game down to 18 at the half and to have the wherewithal to win it in overtime in the fashion that they won it in overtime is, I think, a really, really good sign for this Kings team beyond just one win in the win column.
And what we might overlook because of the great third quarter, Cattles and Ramie, Sactown Sports, what we might overlook is what happened early in the fourth. And I thought as telling as the third quarter was the ability of the Kings to fight back. The Magic had a pretty quick 14-2 run in the fourth quarter. Like they came out and they were playing at a level. And they went on a 14-2 run. But again, the Kings, they took that punch in the face in the fourth quarter. They swung back, they tie it up, they force overtime, and then Fox drains that logo 3 for the game winner. Here was Fox with NBC Sports California in the postgame.
I mean, you ask any basketball player probably at any level, when the ball is going in and you have that and you have a rhythm, the basket starts looking like the ocean. And like I said, I shot that ball and it felt good the entire way. I tried to get as straight in line with the basket as I possibly could. So then there's no variant, no left, right, and you just got to get it there.
Here was Coach Brown.
De'Aaron he realized that the clock was running down. We didn't have any timeouts. So he went to Harrison and said, give me the ball, because Harrison was kind of holding it. And I was like, go, because we didn't have any timeouts. And so he does what he does. His superpower is his speed. And he got that ball up the floor, and he's been working diligently on his shot. He's extremely confident, and he pulled up and hit a big shot for us to win the game.
Now, Brown talked about Fox being extremely confident. I think wins like this, wins against Charlotte, the tough game against Miami, these are confidence-building wins. You feel like this team is never out of it, which is much different than past years. And another thing, Ramie, again, as Domas was carrying the starting 5, how about the bench? The bench on Saturday outscored Orlando's bench 43-13.
I was just going to say, Nick, you look at the box score of this game afterwards, and it makes no sense that they won this basketball game.
No sense at all.
It makes 0 sense that they won this basketball game, but that's what makes it an even better. You know how they say when a pitcher doesn't have his best stuff, but can still keep you in a ball game? When your team doesn't have the best stuff in the NBA, but you can still pull out wins like this. And look, man, you're not beating many teams besides the Orlando Magic with the box score looking the way that it did at the end of the day. But when you can win games despite having 9-9-3 from 3 of your starters in their time on the floor, to get 15 from Trey Lyles and 15 from Malik Monk, and that's how you win this game, it makes no sense. But when you get wins on a night when you don't have your best game going is a big thing in the NBA, because you need to steal those wins, especially when it might come down to 1 or 2 wins to get in that play-in tournament or to get an advantage in seeding in that play-in tournament.
Now, I'm not throwing any parades, but I will tell you this start, right, and the 3 wins that we've seen, Miami win, the win in Charlotte, the win on Saturday in Orlando, these are the kinds of wins, these are the kinds of games where you address your reputation and you start to earn respect. And teams don't take you lightly because you keep fighting back. You keep finding different ways to win, and you build that character. Want your thoughts on the win Saturday in Orlando? Fantastic win by the Kings. They're now 3-5 on the season. 916-339-1140 is the text line. You can give us a phone call as well. 1-800-920-1140. And don't forget, joining us on YouTube, of course, many of you are already. YouTube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. Give us the thumbs up. And also do not forget to subscribe. We'll get your thoughts on the Kings win on Saturday in Orlando. Also coming up in 90 seconds, another week, another embarrassing collapse.
You want the inside scoop on the Sacramento Kings? Cattles and Ramie are giving it to you. Tune in every Thursday at 4 p.m. for an exclusive interview with a member of the Kings coaching staff.
You know, when you're talking about
It's the new spot for local sports talk in the afternoon. Cattles and Ramie. Cattles and Ramie. Sactown Sports 1140.
We'll have your chance to win some Kings tickets coming up a little bit later today. The Pistons game. So a little Jaden Ivey versus Keegan Murray action. So we'll have your chance to have those tickets in hand. That game is happening November 20th on the Sunday at Golden One. So we'll have your chance. Cade Cunningham, man, that dude, he's good. He's really, really, really good at basketball if you haven't seen him play just yet. Detroit, kind of a scary competitive team. But the Kings also competing, winning games that you don't think that they will win. And Run DMG, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140, giving Coach Mike Brown a round of applause. And look, there haven't been, situations like this very consistently in the past few years where you feel like, all right, we can still win this game. The Kings can still win this game. They're not out of it. The coaching staff is not lost.
Did you think they could still win the game, or are you still a little programmed when they're down 18? You go, chalk that one up.
I honestly, I probably would have been like, chalk it up as an L if not
wasn't
for the
Orlando.
Charlotte game.
Oh, okay.
because like being down 15 and coming back without Fox, I kind of approached the third quarter of saying, all right, they got to make some kind of a run here. Like if you can get this down to single digits by the end of the third, you feel good. They obviously did better than that. They led the game after the third quarter. I did not anticipate that kind of third again like they had against the Hornets, but I do think that they deserve some kind of wiggle room here, at least, this iteration of the team, because it's a new coaching staff. You get a lot of new faces.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get that chance. And
I think I'm ready to count just about any team out when you're down 18 or 20 points.
Yeah, it's a tough sell.
Right.
See, I think, though, nowadays, remember, like last postseason.
That's true.
Last postseason, there were all these crazy, like, swings, right? And I think it was Stan Van Gundy last year. He said, they were like, are you surprised about these crazy swings in momentum? He said, no. Like that's the nature now of the NBA because teams are taking so many
more threes that one team can go cold and another team can
Yep.
get hot and the score can swing real quick. That is true.
When you're jacking up threes like teams do in the NBA now, anything can happen. If you get hot, boom, you erase a 12 to 15 point lead pretty quickly, especially if the other team gets, a little bit cold. So your thoughts on the Kings' great win Saturday in Orlando. Of course, they play the Warriors tonight in Golden State. Don't forget, you can follow us on YouTube, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. I'll be hosting the Kings recap show tonight after Warriors Kings. Again, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. We'll keep an eye out for your reaction on the Kings on Saturday against the Magic, and now 3-5 on the season. But we have to, here on Cattles and Ramie, Sactown Sports, jump to the Raiders, Ramie, because, man, oh, man, this team could teach a class on how to lose big leads and collapse in football games.
Nick, I want to remind you of a statistic I gave you earlier in the year.
Please do.
That blew my mind and then blew your mind when I read it out loud to you.
Ready.
The Raiders, in the illustrious history of the Los Angeles/Oakland, now Las Vegas Raiders, with a lead of 17 or more points, before Josh McDaniels was the head coach, were 2-14, 5-1.
2-14, 5-1.
They had in 220 games that they had a 17-point lead or more. They had won 214 of those 220 games.
What?
Do you hear what I'm saying to you?
I hear it.
Under Josh McDaniels, 3 games where they've had a 17-point lead or more, and they're somehow 0-3. This is hard to do, man. It's hard to be this bad. It's hard to be this bad when you have big leads. I don't even know how you do this. I don't understand how you pull off this magic act of making wins disappear.
It's
dominating now.
A disaster. I don't know how you lose 3 games where you lead by 17 points or more. I don't know how you allow the Jacksonville Jaguars to go on that kind of run yesterday. It was a complete mess in the second half. You come off of the game against New Orleans, and, you go out there and it looks like, okay, first half, first quarter and a half, because towards the tail end of the first half, they started to lose their grip. But the first quarter and a half, you go, here's a team responding. They're responding after an absolutely inexcusable performance against the Saints last weekend. And you would think there would be some urgency. You would think there would be some energy and some life out there, and that they would say, we can't allow this to happen again. From the coaching staff on down to the players, you would think that, but that obviously wasn't the case. Here was Josh McDaniels after losing another big lead.
It's not good enough. You know what I mean? I know that. And so, we got to coach better in those situations. We got to avoid feeling like the situation is okay, and I don't sense that our team relaxes when we have that situation, but obviously that may be the wrong thing. You know what I mean? And so we've played, like I said, we've played some stretches of football that are good enough to get ahead and produce a lead, but that's not what this league is about. This league is about playing the second half just as well as you played the first half and trying to win the game. So sometimes lessons are learned the hard way, and obviously we've had to swallow some difficult ones this year. And but I have a lot of confidence and faith in the way that these guys will respond. They always do.
Season's over.
Yeah, it's been over.
It's dead.
Yeah,
it's dead.
Of course it is.
I mean, if you thought they had any chance, and last weekend should have been the indicator that this puppy was over. But yesterday, I mean, come on. nail in the coffin. And where's the texter? Remember the texter saying that we were too low on the Raiders, saying they'd win 10 games?
10 games.
We looked like
10
idiots.
games. Yeah, we were way too high on this team. Way too high on this football team is what we were.
It's so bad. It is so. I don't know what the identity is.
Were you watching that and kind of chuckling, going, "There's no way they're going to do this again, right? They can't do this again." That
was more like they're going to do this again.
Yeah, at some point it was like, "Oh my God, they're going to do this again, aren't they?"
This is a recurring nightmare. They're going to do this again. And sometimes they run first and then they air it out. And like, do you want to? Yesterday they're airing it out in the first half. They're successful. They come out in the second half. They start running the football, trying to establish the run. Is this a game plan offense? Is this a run first offense? Is this a Derek Carr, Devontae Adams offense? I don't know. Because when they play their best and they win, Josh Jacobs is running the football. But they come out yesterday and they're throwing the football all over the joint. And Derek Carr was tremendous in the first half. And then in the second half, it's almost like they just took that game plan or took what they were going to do, just threw it out the window and said, all right, let's do something different here.
Did Devontae Adams have 2 yards in the second half? Is that right?
You know what?
Did he have 2 yards in the second half?
Derek Carr threw for 36 yards in the second half. Derek Carr was 5 for 15, 36 yards
That can't be right.
in the second half.
That can't be right. Let me double
And
check
he
that.
had about a handful of throws that could have been picked.
36 yards sounds like less than a quarter of production. Let me just double check your math there. Oh, yeah, no, 36 yards. 36 yards in a whole half.
God
Okay.
awful.
Wow.
Their third down defense, Ramie, at one point, they gave up 8 out of 10 third down conversions to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars started 1 for 3 on third down. The next 10, they went 8 for 10 on third down. Your third down defense was atrocious. Your front seven defensively was a joke. Derek Carr was an absolute freaking mess. The head coach, again, looks like a chicken with his head cut off on the sidelines, giving up a lead and having no idea how to adjust or how to address it. As you mentioned, Devontae Adams was erased in the second half. This was just, I don't even know if I could call it catastrophic because it's pretty much business as usual this season.
Remember this before this week stretch in the schedule, and everybody's like, "Oh, Raiders 1-3, they can get back in this week stretch in the schedule." And I looked at people and I said, "How dare you? How dare you look at any opponent or any stretch in your schedule?
It's true.
And consider them light."
He did say
consider that easy work. The Jaguars, the Jacksonville Jaguars, came back from a 17-point deficit to the Raiders. There's nobody on the Raiders schedule that anybody should be looking at as light work.
Yep. Verlatte and I made that mistake. It's on us. Brutal. It's just bad all around. And Devontae Adams is, talking about the offensive game plan and, hey, we came out cooking and then we went away from it.
I got things I want to say, but I can't.
It's just.
What does that mean?
It's a mess.
Very ominous.
I think what I'm hearing from you, Ramie, is this week for the Raiders is a must win.
Yes.
Must win.
If they're going to do anything this season.
It's got to be this Sunday. This week against Jeff Saturday and the Colts.
Absolutely brutal. Don't forget, we have guests on the show quite often, and when they join us, they're on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. 916-339-1140 is the text line. The phone number is 1-800-920-1140. Our website, SactownSports.com. Our best NFL overreactions here on this Monday coming up.
Cattles and Ramie. Sactown Sports 1140.
I'm in the great outdoors doing a little Dodge watching with Vince Bloom, the big guy at Lasher's Elk Grove Dodge. Would you look at that? You know, those are some pretty high-powered binoculars you got there, Vince.
Yeah, I use them to spot all the Lasher license plates out there.
Well, there's bound to be a lot because, you are the big guy after all, and the big guy's known for making great deals on new Ram 1500 Bighorns and Longhorns, Tradesmen and Laramies, crew cabs and quad cabs, 4x4s and 4x2s.
I know. Hold on. I see another one.
Another what? Looked like it might have been a new Dodge Challenger.
I think so.
Or a new Dodge Charger. Elk Grove Dodge sells a ton of those, And new Durangos, Chrysler Pacificas, Jeep Cherokees, and the new Grand Cherokee, Jeep Compass, Gladiators, and Wranglers, and the all-new Wagoneer. I've heard Elk Grove Dodge has great deals on those, too.
Oh, he's taken off.
Oh, I'm sorry. You lose him?
Oh, no. Just another happy customer migrating back to Elk Grove Dodge.
No surprise there, because for over 40 years, the name Lasher means a great deal.
Only at Lasher's Elk Grove Dodge and the Elk Grove Auto Mall and online at elkgrovedodge.com.
Folks, there's been some fumbles on the way to the big game, but he's been getting some help to get it done tonight. Here's the throw. And he's off to the races. He might go all the way. He's at the 30, the 20, the 10, touchdown. He did it, folks. He did it.
Regain and optimize your sexual performance, drug-free and surgery-free. The Gainswave treatment will help you get that bedroom touchdown. See what Dr. Dan Botha and his team at Gainswave can do for you. Visit gainswavecalgary.ca.
1 day per week watering began November 1st. Reducing your outdoor watering or turning off
The Kings return. Well, sort of. The Kings, fresh off an East Coast swing, are back on Cali soil, take on the Golden State Warriors in San Francisco. Per usual, we'll have all the action beginning with game night, followed by the pregame, and of course the sultry tones of the G-Men, all the way to tip-off. All the action begins immediately after the Cowboys and Ramie show at 5:30. Speaking of the NBA, we have a full slate on the docket today as all 30 teams are scheduled to play. A few headliners on the slate. The Suns are in Philly to take on the 76ers. The Bucks battle the Hawks in ATL. Rest in peace, Takeoff. Portland is in South Beach to take on the Heat. And the Celtics are in Memphis to take on Ja Morant and the Grizzlies. And in a little local news, top 50 ranked prospect and local star Andre Stojakovic, a Jesuit, committed to Stanford today. Stojakovic chose the Cardinal over UT, of course, University of Texas, UCLA, and Oregon. Stojakovic is the son of former Kings Peja Stojakovic. He's ranked the 24th prospect in the ESPN Top 100. In the NFL, the Colts let go of their fifth-year head coach Frank Wright after a 3-5-1 start. The team named former center and current ESPN analyst Jeff Saturday as their interim head coach. Saturday had been also serving as a consultant for the team. Also on the gridiron in college football, the Sac State Hornets have pulled into the number 2 ranked team in both polls after beating the formerly 5th ranked Weber State. Those are your Sac Sports 1140 headlines. I'm Jay Johnson. Coming up, more of the Kettles and Ramie Show.
It's Monday, and we have an opinion on what happened. Are you ready to crown a champ yet? Has your favorite team thrown in the towel? It's Overreaction Monday.
All right, let's get to it. Overreaction Monday, week number 9. I'm going to start off.
Okay.
The Bills' downfall will be the AFC East. That's it. We have found out that the Buffalo Bills are human. Josh Allen is human. The New York Jets took care of business yesterday. The Jets took care of business. Buffalo has no run game. 12 carries, 39 yards from their running backs yesterday in a close game. Allen threw 2 picks. His UCL might be damaged. The old UCL might be in the danger zone. The Bills' downfall.
That's the Tommy John ligament.
Yes.
For those who don't know.
They will go from my top team in the NFL this past week to being in some serious trouble because of the AFC East.
That's funny. My overreaction was the Jets.
Really?
Are the team to beat in the AFC East after taking down
Jets.
Josh Allen and the Bills. And is that the second time this season they've held the Bills under 20 points? That defense out there, I think that's the second time they've held Josh Allen and the Bills under 20 points. And I don't want to pile on a guy while he's hurt, and I really do hope that it's not serious.
I feel like you're about to pile on a guy.
I don't want to, but I have to do my job. Did you know that Josh Allen has thrown the second most interceptions since the start of last season in the NFL? The second most interceptions in this league. My timeline was real quiet yesterday from all the Josh Allen fan club. It's active when he has a good week. Oh, I can't hear enough from the Josh Allen fan club when he has a good week. But in a bad
why are you
week,
looking at me?
Because you're one of them. One of them.
I don't think he's terrible.
Never been in my timeline, but you're one of them.
No, why are you looking at me? You're one of them. You're
None
one
of my mentions.
You're one of them.
I know.
All right.
No,
So Jets, Jets. Who wants to go first in the back? Is it Verlad or is it JJ?
I'll ride on out here. I'll take it on out. Hey, I'm going to say in the NFC, the top 7 teams that are right now after week, what was this, 9?
Yes.
Yes. This will be week 9. They will be the top 7 teams that make the playoffs in the NFC. So that would be Philadelphia Eagles, who's number 1, Vikings 2, Seahawks 3, Tampa 4, Dallas 5, Giants 6, and my San Francisco 49ers at 7. Those top 7, they'll be in the playoffs.
In that order? Or in some order that'll be the top 7?
Yeah,
okay.
Within that order.
But you're saying the playoff field is set.
It's already set in the NFC. It's over.
I could see
Done.
that.
It's a wrap.
I honestly could see that because a lot of these teams I look at, and I don't see a playoff push from the Cardinals. The Rams are done. The Rams are cooked, man. I don't know what happened. Well, I do know what happened there.
Yeah, they're not good.
Their offensive line is terrible.
They're not
and
good.
any quarterback can look average when he's playing behind a bad offensive line. Carolina, New Orleans. Yeah, I think JJ is right. I think the playoff field in the NFC is set. It's a wrap.
Done.
I think he might be onto something.
It's over with.
Yeah.
Verlad.
Tom Brady reaching 100,000 yards throwing. That's just an insane stat. Hard to see anybody else doing that in the league.
Except Patrick Mahomes.
Except for Patrick Mahomes. He goes 446 yards to get the win last night. They needed every single one of them. He's got 2,600 yards on the season, which puts him on pace to beat Peyton Manning's record for most yards in a season. I think Patrick Mahomes is doing that same 100,000 yards that Tom Brady did in 5 less seasons. No one's going to top that. Nobody.
In 5 less seasons.
5 less seasons.
Greatest player of all time.
Patrick LeVon Mahomes II.
Already the greatest player of all time, according to our Chris Verlad.
Well, yes.
I didn't know his middle name. Thank you, Chris.
Is that really his middle name, or did you just make that up?
You think I'm going to make something up about Patrick Mahomes?
All right, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is going to be benched. He's going to be benched by at least Christmas.
I don't know if that's an overreaction, man.
Benched by Christmas. 3 picks yesterday. He threw interceptions at the Detroit 5-yard line, at the Detroit 1-yard line, and at the Detroit 22-yard line. He has been bad. He's angry. I think he's just, I don't want to say he's ready to tap out, but I think he is feeling it. They're going to bench him. Bench by, you know what? I'll even up this. Benched by the first weekend of December.
Wow,
man, that's
got like what, 3 weeks left? You're on the clock.
I don't know. It could happen. It could
Seriously?
happen.
You guys think Aaron Rodgers would get benched?
You used a first-round pick on Jordan Love. You might as well find out what you got if it's a lost season.
Listen to this. He's got the Cowboys, Titans, Eagles.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier.
They might go 0-3. This team, and then they play the Bears in a division rivalry. This team is in big time trouble, JJ.
You and I don't have the same overreactions, but on the same page today. We're sharing a brain, kind of.
They're gonna be 3-9. They could be 3-9 by December 1st.
Because Aaron Rodgers,
3-9.
Aaron Rodgers is the 3rd best quarterback in the NFC North, if not the 4th best quarterback in the NFC North right now. Because you have Kirk Cousins dropping dimes,
dancing on planes without shirts
dancing
on,
shirtless with many platinum chains around his neck on the plane after a victory, having a good old time. And then Justin Fields, man, How about Justin Fields?
I do appreciate Chicago finally realizing that he can run with the football.
Isn't that a novel concept?
I'd like to congratulate
What an idea! What an idea that Justin Fields can run very fast.
Makes me feel better as a Patriots fan because now you look back and you go, oh no, they kind of figured out what to do with Justin Fields because he's been really good for like 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers is the 3rd or 4th best quarterback in the division. Jared Goff just beat him.
It's crazy to think, but it's true, man. 3-9. They're gonna be 3-9 by December.
Man, that's tough.
It's Jordan Love time. 3-9. All right. Anyway, JJ,
I would love to see it. By the way, let me go on the record with that.
Give
love to
Love
see
a
him
chance.
benched. Yeah, I'm gonna say. Speaking of quarterbacks, I'm gonna say the Las Vegas Raiders fans. This will be your last time seeing Derek Carr in a Raiders uniform.
Oh,
He's
man, huh?
done after this season.
That's
He
it.
is on the way to Houston, a la his brother David Carr. He's on his way to Detroit. He might replace, according to Ramie and Nick, Aaron Rodgers up in Green Bay. This will be his last season as a Las Vegas Raiders starting quarterback. It's over.
So I don't appreciate your tone either.
I know you don't, but it's okay.
I've been thinking about that too, JJ.
I'm on the record. It's coming Friday.
The way this season is going, he's only a $6 million dead cap hit if
He's
they
done.
move on after this year. That might be where you can make a move.
Someone's a scapegoat, and you can't put it on. I just can't see how you put it on McDaniels. You're putting it on on Derek Carr.
All right, Chris, last one. Here we go.
Man, I think we're all thinking the same thing this week, so I don't even know if it could be considered overreactions. I know that Rodgers prayed that he still had Devontae Adams. Packers also tried to get Waller. I think they're going to flip it around. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be the new quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders next season.
Wow. Devontae Adams is going to be like, I thought I got away from the guy. Now he's chasing me down. Rodgers as the next quarterback of the Raiders.
We need to write a script out here for an NFL offseason. Rest of the season and offseason, man. We could come up with a hell of a hard knocks.
But look at how last offseason went. It wouldn't be, can it get much crazier than the last couple of off seasons in the NFL? Both years, you've had storylines where you just go, what?
I think quarterbacks this offseason could be even more crazy than this past offseason. We had Wentz, we had Ryan, we had Wilson on the move. We had Brady retire, then unretire. A lot of stuff happened. So there you have it. Overreaction Monday. Follow us on Twitter at Nick C Radio, at Ramie is tweeting, RAMIE is tweeting. The latest on a suspended superstar and a whole lot more coming up next.
It's Cattles. It's Ramie. Sactown Sports 1140. Sacramento has a new tag team in the afternoon.
Talking to the original tag team of ugly pukes here.
It's Cattles. It's Ramie. Sactown Sports 1140.
Tonight, I will be hosting the Kings Recap Show. Swing on by youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. Don't forget to give us the thumbs up, and if you subscribe, you get notified of the content pretty much right away. So when I go live tonight on that YouTube channel, you will get an immediate notification if you subscribe saying that we're about to go live. So it's always good. It's always fun interacting with the people.
That's you tonight, right?
That is me tonight.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Okay. You know what I found out?
What's that?
I looked at the schedule.
I was pretty sure I was Wednesday, but I haven't looked at the schedule in a few days.
I bailed you out. Do you
Did
know
you?
that? Yeah. I think I did.
When?
I did the Grizzlies. I was supposed to be you. I looked at the schedule. I was like, wait a minute, because I did like 2 recaps in a matter of like 4 days, which seemed weird to me. And then I was looking at the schedule last night. I said, oh, that's what happened.
Huh.
So
thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
But not to say you don't want to do those and, of course, interact with the fine people and Kings fans. But, yeah, anyway, so that's me tonight. I don't know when you're next, but it's
Wednesday. I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday.
It's me tonight reacting to this Warriors-Kings game, which, by the way, we will get to next hour. We'll have a guest for you and everything. It'll be an interesting game coming up tonight. Golden State obviously feeling it, man. 0-6 road trip.
Oof.
Got their Tookuses handed to them. And kind of an unsteady situation right now in Golden State. As unsteady as you can have coming off of a championship.
Right.
That's kind of how you feel about this basketball team. But we'll talk more Kings coming up in 15 minutes. First, we got to talk about the latest on Kyrie Irving, Ime Udoka, and the Brooklyn Nets. As we know, LeBron and Kyrie, very interesting relationship, these two guys. When Kyrie first came into the league, LeBron was tight with him, and of course they won a championship together, coming back down, from 3-1 deficit against the Warriors to win that series, the chase down block, the Kyrie 3, all that stuff. And they were pretty close, relatively close, and then that relationship wore thin. Kyrie wanted out, and mostly the thought was he wanted out because he was tired of being treated like a younger brother by LeBron, and he had enough of the you're kind of the number 2 guy, pat me on top of my head thing. He wanted to be his own leader and have his own team, and we now know how that ended up working out for him so far. And now they're kind of close somewhat again. They've made amends. Kyrie has apologized. Of course, we know the offseason, Kyrie reportedly wanted to go to L.A. LeBron was open to him going to L.A. So LeBron over the weekend finally spoke about the Kyrie situation, and here's what James had to say.
Because at the end of the day, Kyrie is his own man. He stands up in front of the media and speaks. He is a man. He has a great family. I mean, I love the kid. Well, he's not even a kid anymore. He's 30. He just said that the other day in his presser. I was like, it's insane. I don't know the direction, the steps that he take, but he's apologized for what he said, and I hope that he understands that what he said was harmful to a lot of people. Well, we as humans, none of us are perfect, but I hope he understands how, what he did or the actions that he took was just harmful to a lot of people. I really didn't get into it too much. I understand that when you hurting anybody, I understand that. That is just common sense.
And then LeBron was asked about his personal feelings about everything that happened and what was done. And here's what he had to say to that.
Me personally, I don't condone any hate to any kind, to any race, to Jewish communities, to Black communities, to Asian communities. You guys know where I stand. And, there's no place in this world for it. Nobody can benefit from that. And I believe, what Kyrie did caused some harm to a lot of people. He has since, over the last, I think today, or was it yesterday, he apologized. But he caused some harm. And I think it's unfortunate, but I don't stand on the position to harm people when it comes to your voice or your platform or anything. And
nobody, again, I said this on Friday, nobody is saying take away Kyrie's platform.
Right.
Nobody's, but man, when you put stuff out there that's false and dangerous, or even just share a link to something like that. And again, that thing moved into the, I think, top 10 on Amazon's list. Why, man? Like whatever reason you were putting it out there for, why start all this? Why give that thing the spotlight that you gave it? And it's okay for LeBron or anybody else to say that's something you shouldn't do. You know what I mean? It's okay to shout down when people are sharing stuff that is factually incorrect, that is dangerous, that is hateful, that is bigoted. It's okay to say people are doing something wrong with their platform. Nobody is saying that Kyrie Irving shouldn't have a platform. It's crazy. I'm glad LeBron came out against Kyrie in a sense, but some of this stuff needs to be even stronger. We need to stop tippy-toeing around dangerous conspiracy theories, man.
Yeah. That's because I think people are concerned about the reaction of those that are sharing those conspiracy theories and sharing some of that hate. Cattles and Ramie, Sactown Sports. And of course, you wonder how much will this impact Kyrie's future in the NBA? He's on the final year of his deal in Brooklyn. I'd be shocked if he's back in Brooklyn next season. But maybe we should be surprised if he comes back to the league at all, because there was a GM, saying to our friend Sam Amick in The Athletic, he took a survey about the Nets situation, and one of the GMs that was part of this said, I think Kyrie might not play in the NBA again. And you've said that you could see him not being in the league again after this year's over, if not sooner. So it'll be interesting to see if now I believe he will have an opportunity. I believe talent usually wins out with any of these conversations. We've seen it in sports before. I'm not going to compare prior things with this Kyrie situation because I don't think it's necessarily fair to compare some of the stuff. But we've seen people in the past, especially in the NFL, do things and you'd say, man, oh man, no way. And then they get other chances, right? We saw it with Greg Hardy. We saw it with others. So when you have talent, you're usually given a lot of opportunity and chances.
And it's looking more and more like he's done with the Nets. I saw a report today that list of things they're going to need Kyrie to complete.
Yeah,
if he's going to come back to the Nets.
Let me give the list. He has to apologize, condemn the movie. He has to give a $500,000 donation to anti-hate causes. He has to take sensitivity training, anti-Semitic training. He needs to meet with the ADL Jewish leaders. He needs to meet with Nets owner Joe Tsai to demonstrate understanding of what he did and of everything that it encompasses.
And I saw today that's a ploy that they're putting out there because they don't think Kyrie will do all that. And it'll give them just cause to outright release him and maybe even get out of at least some of the money and the contract that they owe him. And I said on Friday, I think the only reason Kyrie issued the half-assed apology that he issued was because he sees what's coming. He sees the writing on the wall that the Nets are going to try and take back some of that money. And after the Nets said he didn't apologize when given a chance to apologize, he would be able to point to that and say, hey, look, I apologize. So now the Nets are raising the bar for what Kyrie has to do. And they're counting on Kyrie's stubbornness. They're counting on Kyrie's stubbornness and pride that he won't do all this after being told to do all this. And now in court, they can both argue back and forth about the merits of whether or not they're able to take some of that money back from Kyrie. They're basically, that GIF of Diddy, and I don't know who the other guy is in the GIF. They're just staring back and forth. That's Kyrie and the Nets right now, just waiting for the other one.
The theory makes sense that if you stack the list enough of things that he won't do, he might do even a couple of those things on the list, but he's not going to check all those boxes. And then you could say to yourself and say to the world, all right, we gave him the chance. Meanwhile, sounds like Ime Udoka might not end up getting the Nets job, or at least it's not as, I would say, a fait accompli as it might have been last week. Mark Stein last night tweeted that league sources say there have been some strong voices urging Tsai to back off the Nets' intent to hire Udoka, considering the turmoil that's happening in Brooklyn. And I'm like, well, they just realized this now? Like, you're just realizing this now that bringing in Ime Udoka with what's going on with him from what happened in Boston, you're just realizing that it might be a bad idea on the heels of what's going on with Kyrie and all the other drama you had to deal with in the offseason.
This is what happens when you don't have a PR department in the middle of all this.
Yeah, you might want to do that. You might want to
There's
find
nobody in the room to put a finger up. Guys, this might look bad. This might be some trouble.
What
here.
a mess. And some of the reporting is, maybe Adam Silver got involved to tell them to step away from Ime Udoka. They're winning. They've won the last couple games. I'll say that. On the floor, they've played better. But off the floor, it is still an absolute mess in Brooklyn. We go inside a great Kings win down in Orlando coming up next.
Cattles and Ramie. Sactown Sports 1140.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. Divorce can be complicated, especially if children are involved. If you're a father and want to protect your role in your children's lives, remember Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men with matters like these for 30 years, and we'd love to help you.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Sacramento area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 500 Capitol Mall, Suite 2060, Sacramento, California, 95814. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Your local utilities are offering up to $11,000 in rebates to make energy-saving home improvements. Turn to the experts at Clark & Rush & Carrier, your rebate specialists. License 608-005. These home electrification upgrades will lower your energy bills and put rebate cash in your pocket. We'll even do the paperwork. You enjoy the rebates.
Smart energy savings is what we do. Clark & Rush.
Call 916-609-2681.
The game of football is about pain. Ever since I was 5 years old, it's been all about football. It's been about running, jumping, blocking, tackling. I stopped playing at 31.
You're listening to Michael Robinson, retired pro fullback.
I thought that foot pain was going to be with me for the rest of my life. I'm so glad I met Good Feet. I'm so glad that those arch supports are in my shoes. I had terrible foot issues that prevented me from really having a normal life with my kids. With the Good Feet arch supports, man, I'm always ready. My kids actually got to enjoy me in the yard more, racing each other, backpedaling, teaching them some things, being a dad. If I had known about the Good Feet arch support earlier, I would have more than one championship. I would have 2 championship rings.
See what we can do for you with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
Sore feet? Aching back? Even plantar fasciitis? Come to the Good Feet store in Sacramento, Roseville, Stockton, and Modesto.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Are you a fan of Twin Peaks? Sign up for our e-club and stay up to date on all things Twin Peaks and score free stuff. Signing up is easy. Just visit twinpeaksrestaurant.com/peaks-club to get started today.
It's Carmichael Day for my good friend Shelby and everybody over at refinanceWithShelby.com. Home equity is the best way for you to build up and pass on wealth. The Equity Builder program happening right now gives first-time home buyers a head start on this with immediate equity in the home via a loan of up to 10% of the purchase price. Now, here's the deal. The loan is completely forgiven if you live in the house as your primary residence for 5 years. Think about that. A $450,000 home. You make about $80,000. You get $45,000 down as part of the Equity Builder program, and you live in the home for 5 years, boom, the loan is gone. You got to be a first-time home buyer. You got to occupy the property as your primary residence. That's about it. Couple of other things, and you're good to go. That's it. Go to refinancewithshelby.com. It's a no-brainer. It's the best way to get into this market. Refinancewithshelby.com. NMLS number 279051. BRE number 01864354.
Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Here's Frank LaRosa.
Legend says that golf courses are made up of 18 holes because it took exactly 18 shots to finish a fifth of scotch. A shot per hole. As it turns out, the 18-hole limit came to be somewhat accidentally. In truth, there was no standard number of holes on a course. In the beginning, it might have been 11, 23, 15, or 7. St. Andrews, for example, had 22 holes until 1764 when 4 were merged to make it an 18-hole course. The exact date when 18 holes became the standard is a bit sketchy, but according to the British Golf Museum, the R&A issued new rules for its members in 1858, and Rule 1 stated, 1 round of the links or 18 holes is reckoned a match unless otherwise stipulated. We can only presume that this was slowly adopted throughout Britain. By the 1870s, more courses had 18 holes, and a round of golf was being accepted as consisting of 18 holes. Maybe not as romantic as the story of the bottle of scotch, but the truth is always stranger than fiction. That's your Golf to Go. I'm Frank LaRosa.
The flagship.
Ball game. Sacramento wins.
KHTK AM and HD1 Sacramento. KYMX HD2 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios. Sactown Sports 1140. The flagship station of your Sacramento Kings. Sactown Sports. Headlines.
The Kings return. Well, sort of. The Kings, fresh off an East Coast swing, are back on Cali soil, take on the Golden State Warriors in San Francisco. Per usual, we'll have all the action beginning with game night, followed by the pregame, and of course the sultry tones of the G-Men, all the way to tip-off. All the action begins immediately after the Keegan and Ramie show at 5:30. And in a little local news, top 50 ranked prospect and local star Andre Stojakovic of Jesuit committed to Stanford today. Stojakovic chose the Cardinal over UT, of course, University of Texas, UCLA, and Oregon. Stojakovic is the son of former Kings Peja Stojakovic. He's ranked the 24th prospect in the ESPN Top 100. In the NFL, the Colts let go of their fifth-year head coach Frank Wright after a 3-5-1 start. The team named former center and current ESPN analyst Jeff Saturday as their interim head coach. Saturday had been also serving as a consultant for the team. The luck continued to be bad for the Green Bay Packers as they were able to confirm today the bad news they expected. Linebacker Rashawn Gary tore his ACL in his right knee and will miss the rest of the season. Also on the gridiron in college football, the Sac State Hornets have pulled into the number 2 ranked team in both polls after beating formerly 5th ranked Weber State. Those are your Sac Sports 1140 headlines. I'm Double JJ Johnson. It's 4 o'clock, which means more of the Keegan and Ramie show. That's coming up right now.
Just two guys rubbing elbows, talking sports, and lots of other stuff.
Always keep you on edge.
That's really crazy interesting. It's Keegan and Ramie, Sactown Sports 1140.
Thanks for joining us on a Monday. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. We might be able to try to squeeze Ramie's Van Gogh experience into the show at some point today. If not, we can spend
I don't know how much
tomorrow.
Yeah, I could tell you a little bit about it, but it's hard to explain.
Is it?
We can talk about it later.
All right. Well, maybe we'll get into that. First, we got to get to Vocal on the Local.
From the headlines to the sidelines, it's the 49ers, it's the Raiders, it's Vocal on the Local.
It's also on the Kings. Make that note, fellas. We got to get the Kings thrown into that mix right there because that's what we're going to talk about right now. We're talking Kings. We're not talking Niners. We're not talking Raiders to start this hour. A great win down in Orlando on Saturday, down by 18 at the half. Here was Coach Brown after the win.
Our group in that third quarter, they came out and they defended their behinds off. And that's what we have to do in order to give ourselves a chance to win, especially on the road.
So, yes, play some defense, come up with some stops. They were able to do enough of that, especially in the third quarter. Here was De'Aaron Fox.
We kind of started going to a lot of pick and roll, a lot of isolations. And I was getting to the basket, getting in the paint. You know, I told them they're gonna start helping at some point. Obviously, with their length, you know, they just want to show bodies, but at some point they're going to have to take a step in. And my guys are ready when I was spraying it out, and we made big shots.
All right, Ramie, we talked about this team's character to start the show, another character-building win. We're going to talk about De'Aaron Fox in the 5 o'clock hour, silencing some of his critics. But some other things that you observed watching this game on Saturday, some of the stuff that stood out to you most.
I'm going to make sure I do this off the top.
Okay.
Because JJ pleaded in the pre-show meeting. So I don't want to run out of time before we recognize Trey Lyles, man.
Yeah.
29 minutes last night or Saturday night. 29 minutes for Trey Lyles on Saturday night, and he pours in 15 points. And is it crazy to say, is it just coincidence, happenstance that the Kings started winning basketball games, now 3 of their last 4, when Mike Brown started going to Trey Lyles heavy in the rotation?
Could have been 4-4. Who knows if you don't call that, you know, if you don't miss that Tyler Hero travel late in the Miami game.
Yep.
I think he's helped this team tremendously. You know, when you look at his ability to give you some production off the bench, remember, before we got there, you and I were talking about this. That was before we got to see Lyles finally. That was the Moneke and Metu moment when you had both of those guys, Chima Moneke and also Chimezi Metu in the game at the same time. And both you and I were talking about how in the world could you have guys that can't score? You can't have multiple guys like that on the court at the same time. And
that game seems like so long ago.
Oh, and then Lyles parachutes in, and he's really changed it. He has dramatically changed the bench in the last couple of games.
They were plus 11 in his minutes in the third quarter when they went ahead and took that lead.
He's fantastic. I mean, he was 15, 3 and 2. Individually, he was a plus 10. And the thing about Lyles is like he's always in the right spot, or at least seems like he's always in the right spot. And he's not afraid of any moment. He's aggressive. He can knock down shots. The guy that stood out to me was, again, Domas. And because we were tough on him at the beginning of the season, and frankly, he deserved to be criticized at the beginning of the year. He looked very uncomfortable on the floor at the beginning of the season. But now you have back-to-back, Ramie, productive games from Domas. He was really good against Miami. He was really good on Saturday against Orlando. Obviously, he had a really tough time at the free throw line. But the biggest moment, from Domas, man, you're at the free throw line, and you were so bad throughout that game on Saturday. And then you go to the free throw line in overtime, and you knock down both of those free throws. That is some big-time cojones from Domas.
And it's nice to see him and Fox have big games on the same night. I don't think we've seen that yet this season. I think that was the first time we've seen Domas and Fox both have a big night in the same game. So it was nice to see that. I'm still waiting for the whole puzzle to come together one night and see how that can look. Like Fox and Sabonis and Murray and Herter, just all of them on a heater one night and putting the whole thing together and seeing what that looks like.
That would look like an unstoppable offense is my guess. Domas finished 25, 11, and 6. He shot 10 of 14 from the floor. So he was incredibly efficient. He was aggressive again. I thought he took the right shots for most of the time. And when you have that, production in the middle, it's going to cause so much offensively for the Kings to happen. If you got Domas scoring and being aggressive and attacking in the paint, because now he's going to suck other guys in and suck the help in. And we know that they want to play the 1 in, 4 out. The more productive he is, the more defenses are going to feel. We've got to double him. We've just got to send guys. The more that he's scoring, the more teams feel like, they have that urgency to defend him. The more teams will make mistakes because, they might be more apt to leave their guy to go after Domas, and now you left somebody wide open in the corner. So all of this is going to help this offense function at a higher level. And I'm not necessarily shocked, Ramie, because, again, the resume is the resume. To me, this is Domas. This is water finding its level. This is who he's been throughout his NBA career. He's been an 18 to 20-point, 10-rebound guy a night. And I did not think at the age of 25, 26, he was just going to fall off of a cliff.
Yeah, I was never panicked. I mean, if anything, you just wonder if the change in style that Mike Brown brings with him, or the addition of a Kevin Herter, who is getting up a good number of shots per game. If some of that stuff was just not a great fit with Domas, I never wondered if he had just fallen off the cliff and forgotten how to play basketball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You do when you get off to the start that he got off to, I think you do, at least in the back of your mind, go, is he not a good fit? Because he wasn't a good fit in Indiana. He was a good player, just not a good fit in Indiana. Maybe in the back of your mind you were going, I'm not saying he's a bad player, but maybe just a bad fit with Mike Brown or whatever else is going on here. But I think we're seeing now that it can indeed work, and probably will.
Cattles and Ramie, Sactown Sports. The other thing I would point out, Domas great in the starting lineup, but how about the bench? When you've got, if you told me before Saturday's game against Orlando, and I really couldn't care less who they're playing. If you told me that Keegan Murray and Kevin Herter were going to score a combined 12 points against any team this year, I would say it was probably very unlikely that the Kings would win that game, but yet they did. Herter and Keegan scored a combined 12 points. The bench comes in with 43 points, a fantastic step-up performance by that bench. And now you're seeing different guys. Like, you're not going to get the consistency off the bench from the same guy all the time for the most part. Like if you get a sixth man, yes, you would hope Malik Monk will give you the consistent productivity. He hasn't necessarily done that night in and night out so far this year.
Back-to-back games, though.
Yeah, back-to-back games. But you've got, Davion Mitchell comes in. He gives you a big lift in the Charlotte game. We mentioned Lyles coming off the bench and giving you 15 points. That's a big-time lift against the Magic on Saturday. Monk giving you back-to-back good performances off of the bench. If you can start getting at least one or two of those performances off the bench, maybe TD will give you a big night off the bench one night. If you can supplement your starting five with those guys chipping in, if you get one or two going a night, that's when you talk about the depth. That's when you feel like we can go 7-8 deep.
And that's what, if anything is going to separate you from, like we've said, Nick, it looks like 11 teams fighting for 10 spots in the West. If anything is going to separate you from those other teams that you're going to be battling with, it's going to be that depth. It's going to be, can Malik Monk and Trey Lyles and Davion Mitchell, Terrence Davis, can at least two of those guys show up for you on a consistent basis night in and night out?
We'll talk Kings and Warriors coming up in just over 15 minutes with Jim Barnett when he joins us again. Warriors going through a very rough stretch here, 0-6 road trip as they get ready to host the Kings tonight. So that'll be an interesting game to see play out. One more thing I would say, by the way, the atrocious, because I just want to bring this up for a second. Thankfully, it did not cost the Kings the game, but the atrocious offensive foul that was called on Lyles in overtime, that's the kind of call, man. We saw it on Wednesday night with Tyler Hero doing the Irish jig and not getting called for the travel. And then you've got, Lyles getting called for a phantom offensive foul with 28 seconds left in overtime up by 4. That call could have been a killer. And thankfully it wasn't. Thankfully, Fox goes logo and calls game for you as the clock expires because, again, we would have had to talk about a call really robbing the Kings of a great opportunity to win a game, especially on the road.
Mike Brown would have had to go ahead and get fined.
Oh, yeah.
If they lost.
He might have just thrown a chair across the floor like Bobby Knight did way back in the day. 916-339-1140 is the text line. The phone number is 1-800-920-1140. Don't forget, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. If you're watching, if you're joining us, don't forget, give us a thumbs up if you like, if you enjoy what you're watching and listening to. Again, give us that thumbs up and also subscribe. It's youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. I have an evolving opinion.
Oh?
Yeah. About what? Find out in 90 seconds.
Check out the Golf to Go Hour with Frank LaRosa every week on Sactown Sports. And Ramie, Cattles and Ramie, Sactown Sports 1140.
You're going to have your chance to win Kings tickets coming up in less than 10 minutes. So in less than 10 minutes, you get a chance to win some Kings tickets, Kings, Pistons, Sunday, November 20th at Golden One. Your chance to watch Cade Cunningham, your chance to watch Jaden Ivey. Again, we'll have your opportunity to win those tickets in less than 10 minutes. Pistons, Kings, Golden One, November 20th.
Most people don't know that Cade Cunningham is second cousins of Sean Cunningham.
Is he?
Yeah, most people don't know that. Most people don't think that's true.
Is it because it's not?
Because it's not.
Okay.
Just going to say. Never know it for Lod. That's why I was like, is he? Is it? Is he?
You should listen to what Jay tells the advice on what to believe from me.
Let's check out before I give you my evolving opinion on something. Let's check out youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. Kenneth Bannister says nothing is golden for the Draymond Green of the world. Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the questions I'm going to have for our friend Jim Barnett when he joins us in about 15 minutes to talk about the Warriors, where they're at, tonight's game. The Draymond Green thing, is it reasonable to question whether or not the incident between he and Jordan Poole had any kind of impact on this very bad start for the defending champions? And I've heard people on, ESPN and other places say that they've talked to people within the Warriors organization, and they're saying that the vibe isn't the same, that it does feel a little bit more tense. It's not as loosey-goosey, and the guys aren't necessarily like, enjoying each other's company as much as they have in the past couple of years. So I don't know. I'm not there. I'm not behind closed doors. But I think when you go 0-6 on a road trip, defending champions, and Jordan Poole's off to a pretty bad start shooting the basketball, and Draymond, whatever Draymond's doing, I do think it's at least fair to bring up and wonder if that did have a detrimental effect to this basketball team.
6 in a row that doesn't happen very often to a lot of NBA teams, much less defending champions. I'm sure there's a stat out there somewhere about the last time defending champs lost 6 in a row that I just haven't stumbled across on Twitter yet, but that can't happen very often to defending champs.
I wouldn't imagine. BCH says Monk balling, says the Kings going to be fine. They're going to crush the Warriors. Fox haters been quiet lately. Yeah, I want to get to Fox at 5:00, but we have a lot more to get to as well, including my evolving opinion here on Cattles and Ramie Sactown Sports. So last week we talked about Josh McDaniels being on the hot seat. And I said, not just yet. Well, now's the time. And I know it's only 1 week, but the nature of that loss yesterday pushed me over the edge. And I'm not telling you that this is burning hot like McDaniels is done. I'm just telling you it's getting warm. And it's getting warmer by the minute. Wasted leads. Ramie had the note earlier, but
2-14, 5-1 as a franchise when leading by 17 points or more.
2-14, 5-1.
0-3 with Josh McDaniels as the head coach.
It's tough to believe. It's tough to believe that that's the case. Here was McDaniels yesterday on all of these big leads that they've blown.
It's not good enough. You know what I mean? I know that. And so, we got to coach better in those situations. We got to avoid feeling like the situation is okay, and I don't sense that our team relaxes when we have that situation, but obviously that may be the wrong thing. You know what I mean? And so we've played, like I said, we've played some stretches of football that are good enough to get ahead and produce a lead, but that's not what this league is about. This league is about playing the second half just as well as you played the first half and trying to win the game. So sometimes lessons are learned the hard way, and obviously we've had to swallow some difficult ones this year. And but I have a lot of confidence and faith in the way that these guys will respond. They always do.
Blowing leads is one thing, but what I noticed yesterday was a shift from these players, a shift in the energy, and a shift to looking at the coach and questioning the coach publicly. Devontae Adams came out in the postgame and said, I have not had to answer the same exact questions week after week like I have had to do this year, because you guys keep asking me the same questions, and the questions deserve to be asked. I just can't give you different answers. Like, it is what it is. That was one telling point. Then Derek Carr goes up to the podium And he's talking about this team. He's talking about another big-time lead lost. And listen to what Carr and what he had to say.
There's a lot I want to say, but if I'm honest, I don't need to say it here, and there's things that will be said. There are things that need to be addressed and all those things. But I think as a whole, the urgency part of it, that after 30 minutes of football, we have to learn that the game is not over. I feel like I've, been in this situation a lot where, new coaches or this or that, and you have to teach the new guys, like, this is how we do it, and this is the mentality, and this is, and that gets tiring. But at the same time, it's my job. So, there's some of that. So I'll say that right now for those things. But there's things, in-house that we'll talk about, and man to man and all that kind of stuff that could be addressed.
Now, of course, he could be talking about some of the players. He might be talking about the players only. But there was word yesterday that the locker room door was closed for a long period of time until they opened it up to the media. And that's where I said, okay, you're starting to feel it, where the players are tired of this. Like, we can't keep losing leads. We can't keep losing these kinds of games. And I think they're starting to look at the coach, wondering if this guy can get this job done.
And just even outside of X's and O's, Nick, and which we can take issue with on a number of different counts and occasions, whether it's decision making, like having, I think it was at last check, 19 different formations on the and combinations on the offensive line. Even all that stuff aside, when I see a team that lacks resiliency and or killer instinct, and the Raiders have shown lacking in both, to me, that's a direct reflection of a head coach and a coaching staff.
Look, when you're losing these kinds of leads, first of all, you're not adjusting well. That's obvious. Second of all, you can't settle the team, so the leadership is in question because the team's rattled. They say good teams win on the road. They say good coaching staffs get wins on the road. They can travel well. This team is 0-5 on the road this year. They failed to win a game on the road so far. Situational play calling, trick plays at bad times. Yesterday, you have a 2nd and 2 late in the fourth quarter. You got Josh Jacobs running the ball pretty well. On 2nd and 2, you go pass. Just inexcusable. Why not just run Jacobs, get the first down, move the chains, and try to win that football game? And really, there's zero reason to give him benefit of the doubt. And Josh McDaniels, I mean, we could talk about him being a great coordinator all day long. That means nothing. There's a lot of great coordinators who don't end up being good head coaches. And so far, head coach-wise, he's been awful. He was awful in Denver. You give him a second chance because he's had years to learn, and he was like 32 years old when he went to Denver, and they also gave him, all of the say in the front office. And you could sit there and you could say to yourself, okay, he deserves a second chance. And if you give him a GM and he learned from his mistakes, but he was bad in Denver, and this Vegas situation is bad right now. So I don't think you deserve any benefit of the doubt if you are the one and only Josh McDaniels. By the way, Jim Barnett will be joining us in 20 minutes to talk about Warriors Kings. Apparently he had something he had to do for the team that he has not finished up yet. So Barnett will join us in 20 minutes. But right now we're going to give you a shot to win a pair of tickets. Kings tickets, Kings Pistons, November 20th, Sunday, Golden One Center. More information, go to SactownSports.com. What is the word of the day, Vlad?
Sean.
Like
Sean Cunningham.
Nice. Sean Cunningham. Like Cade Cunningham's cousin? Is that what you said?
Second cousin, once removed.
You got to spell it like Sean Cunningham spells his name, right? S-E-A-N. All right, Sean Cunningham, 916-339-1140. Sean, S-E-A-N. Sean to the text line, 916-339-1140. One lucky texter that texts in Sean to the show wins a pair of tickets to check out Kings Pistons Sunday, November 20th at Golden One. Again, more information, SactownSports.com, 916-339-1140 for your chance to win those tickets. Coming up, from ESPN analyst 1 week to an NFL head coach the next.
Cattles and Ramie. Sactown Sports 1140.
Francisco. Per usual, we'll have all the action beginning with game night, followed by the pregame, and of course, the G-Man with the tip. All the action begins immediately after the Kettles and Ramie show at 5:30. Speaking of the NBA, we have a full slate on the docket today as all 30 teams are scheduled to play. At the moment, we have 2 games in action as the Wizards lead the Hornets 26-18 at the end of the first quarter, while the Rockets lead the Orlando Magic 20-19 with 4 minutes left in the first. In the NFL, the Colts let go of their 5th-year head coach Frank Reich after a 3-5-1 start. The team named former center and current ESPN analyst Jeff Saturday as their interim head coach. Saturday had also been serving as a consultant for the team. Also, the luck continued to be bad for the Green Bay Packers as they were able to confirm today the bad news they expected is linebacker Rashawn Gary tore his ACL in his right knee. He'll miss the rest of the season. Those are your Sactown Sports 1140 headlines. I'm Jay Johnson. Coming up in 15 minutes, Jim Barnett will join the fellas. Now more of the Kettles and Ramie show.
Trying to get you home after another long day and through the drive time afternoon traffic. Kettles and Ramie, Sactown Sports 1140.
As JJ said, the interview with Jim Barnett coming up in about 15 minutes. We'll talk Warriors Kings happening tonight in the Bay Area. So Jim Barnett will join us. I'm interested to see what Jim has to say about how the team is handling everything and whether or not the Draymond Green Jordan Poole incident affected the beginning of this year in his estimation. And of course, he's obviously closer to things than we are because he's
with the team.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. But first, before we get to Jim Barnett to talk Warriors Kings in less than 15 minutes, let's whip around the NFL. If we want to play a little bit of NFL music to get us in the mood, so to speak, because a lot of stuff is happening here within that league. Colts, Pats. Let me just say this before we get into the whole Frank Reich thing. I watched the Colts Patriots game yesterday.
There it is.
And pray for me. Like if I could get the 3 hours back, I would love to get those 3 hours back. This game was miserable.
Dude, your Patriots play an especially boring brand of football.
Well, their defense is playing well, aside from against mobile quarterbacks. That's an issue that they can't figure out. Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, mobile quarterbacks kill them. But the defense is good. But, yeah, offensively, it's just offensive line's not great. Play calling's not great. Mac Jones is playing average. He's taken a step back because I think they did not support him or surround him in the right way. I digress with that. But it was a tough watch. But the Colts, I mean, they were so bad offensively yesterday, which made no sense to me because they have a mobile quarterback. They have Sam Ehlinger. He's now the starting quarterback. He's a guy who can run a little bit. And when I tell you they had like no designed runs, I think they had him run the football like twice against this Patriots defense. It's like if you saw them play against Justin Fields, and I'm not telling you that Sam Ehlinger is Fields or Lamar Jackson, but really any mobile. I remember Mitchell Trubisky killed the Patriots defense a few years ago in Chicago, and they did not even use what I think was their biggest advantage yesterday in that football game. They were 0 for 16 on 3rd and 4th down yesterday. 0 for 16 on 3rd and 4th down.
You are not going to win a lot of games like that.
They averaged 2 yards per play. 2 yards per play yesterday.
Excuse me?
Yeah, 2 yards per play. Yeah, they had negative yards, I think, through like the first quarter and a half. It was brutal. And Frank Reich got fired today by those Colts. And I had a Monday overreaction weeks ago and said Frank Reich will get fired by November.
Yeah, you did.
Sorry for Frank Reich. My Monday overreaction ended up being right.
Actually came true.
November 7th, he gone. Here's Adam Schefter. Adam Schefter.
Spade had one of its worst offensive performances in years, and so Jim Irsay decided to turn to Jeff Saturday, who was a consultant for the team anyway, who is in the team's Ring of Honor, who was back in Indianapolis 2 weekends ago for the Ring of Honor induction ceremony for his former teammate Tariq Glenn. I think that they felt like they wanted to get back to somebody who was more comfortable, even though he has no prior college or head coaching experience, and so they made the surprising and unexpected move of firing Frank Reich and hiring Jeff Saturday, who now takes over a team where there's not an experienced play caller, where they don't know who will be calling plays on Sunday. And, oh, by the way, they will be playing on Sunday. Josh McDaniels of the Las Vegas Raiders, who started this cycle when he essentially opted out of the job that he agreed to take as the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts.
Cattles and Ramie, Sactown Sports.
Ooh.
So,
time really is a flat circle.
I read a note today, Ramie, that Jeff Saturday is the first head coach in like 61 years in the NFL that has zero head coach or college coaching like experience.
He did coach in high school.
He did.
I was corrected today when I said he had
did.
no coaching experience. He did coach in high school.
He did. Somewhere in Georgia. He coached. Yes.
This is ludicrous, right?
Yeah, he's from Georgia.
ESPN analyst straight to NFL head coach.
Jim Irsay is a crazy person, right?
He's tanking. This is right. Do we not? He's tanking. He knows they don't have a quarterback. It's like, let's put our friend Jeff Saturday in there, who people like. And if he stinks, nobody will care because nobody expects anything from Jeff Saturday.
You want us to get a good coach and they might accidentally win a game? No.
I think that's like right now they're in line for the 14th pick in the draft. But if you look, they have the 5th toughest schedule remaining in the NFL.
They could really move up.
Irsay knows that. He's like, we got the 5th toughest schedule left. All right, hey Jeff. And I would not be surprised if this was part of the conversation, honestly. Hey Jeff, we need somebody to take a few punches.
We need to put a good face on this thing.
I'll give you a couple of million to come in and be humiliated for the next couple of months.
We need somebody who can make folks chuckle at the press conference after we lose the next 7.
Yeah.
And if the Raiders are ever going to do anything this season, it starts this weekend.
If the Raiders lose to Jeff Saturday.
Did you see what Jeff Saturday tweeted on October 30th?
Yeah, he called them horrible.
The Raiders are horrible. Yeah. That's the whole tweet. That's the whole thing.
That could come back to bite you a little bit.
Bulletin board material, guys.
Frank Reich is a really good offensive coordinator.
Can you imagine?
I don't know where he'll end up.
Can you imagine you're Frank Reich and you take this job in 2018 and you're like, I got Andrew Luck, baby. I got the next big thing at the quarterback position. And then
Super Bowl on the way.
And you go from that to then Jacoby Brissett and Brian Hoyer in 2019, 39-year-old Phillip Rivers in 2020, Carson Wentz in 2021, and 37-year-old Matt Ryan with Plan B Sam Ehlinger. That is not what he signed up for, man. I think Frank Reich could very well be a good head coach in this league. You're not going to have any success when that's what you're working with at quarterback.
Just brutal. Just brutal. And we'll see. Maybe Jeff Saturday will be the greatest hire that we've ever seen in our lives. But
Jim Irsay is crazy.
No college or pro coaching experience. Right into the deep end. Tank City, USA. Meanwhile, Tom Brady beat the Rams last night with a 35-second touchdown drive. And you give credit to Brady because you still have to make the throws and make the right decisions. But the Rams helped them every step of the way. Like, there's a couple of golden rules when you have a lead late. Number one, don't give up a big play. They gave up like a 20-plus yard chunk play right off the bat. And then the other thing is you can't allow the other team to get out of bounds. You defend the sidelines. And they just let Tampa run all these out routes and pick up 10, 15 yards and get out of bounds like 3 straight times. And then they had a flag thrown on them in the end zone. Like a comedy of errors. LA is a mess. Their offense is a mess. Brady, by the way, first quarterback in NFL history to hit 100,000 passing yards.
I also saw that he set the record for most comeback winning, game-winning drives.
Would not surprise me.
My question is, why are you losing so often, Tom Brady? That's my question.
Any way you can find the shade for Brady, you find it. The Rams are done, right?
Are you always losing? They always have to come back and win.
The Rams are done?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. How good was that?
Whoops.
How good was that one? That's why you come to me. The expertise.
You get paid for these opinions.
My word. So there you have it. Little quick whip around the NFL. What's wrong with the Warriors? Jim Barnett will join us to discuss that next.
It's Cattles. It's Ramie. Sactown Sports 1140.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave here for Capital Casino. And the primetime football giveaway, it's back. They're giving away a total of $500 for every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night primetime game, conveniently located at 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento, with plenty of well-lit parking and some of the best food in a
spot for local sports talk in the afternoon. Cattles and Ramie. Sactown Sports 1140.
All right, so we're scheduled to have Jim Barnett coming up in a minute. JJ going to give him a call. We're waiting as Jim is working on something for the team, probably something I would imagine.
How dare he?
The pregame show.
But his actual job before this
How-
radio appearance.
How dare him is right. I'm offended.
Really?
Yes, I'm offended. He obviously Cattles and Ramie in Sacramento should be his number one priority at this point.
Yes. Everybody's number one priority, really.
Bail on team obligations.
Bail on your work obligations.
Yeah,
if you're listening to this right now,
just bail.
Tune in intently to Cattles and Ramie.
Embrace us.
Take notes.
It is interesting, though. Again, I don't know if you can draw a direct line from the Jordan Poole, Draymond Green incident and the struggles that the Warriors have had. But I don't know if you can say it's just a coincidence either, that this whole thing kind of blew up right before the season, and you've got the defending champions playing like they're playing, and they seem out of sorts. Again, I don't hang out with any of those guys. I'm not behind closed doors. I can only go off of what people are saying and the reports that I've read and heard. And there are people out there saying that the vibe around this team is just different, and that it's, they're usually kind of uplifting and they've got great energy and they enjoy being around each other. That apparently is not necessarily the case right now. So we'll talk to Jim about that coming up as he joins us right now. Jim Barnett, Golden State Warriors radio analyst, joins us on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Jim, we appreciate your time. I know you're pretty busy with a game night and all. I wanted to ask you, is it reasonable to wonder if the Draymond Green, Jordan Poole incident has impacted the early portion of this season in any way?
Well, you can speculate on that. If the Warriors' record will reverse, you wouldn't even think anything about it.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Let's put Jim on hold for a second, see if he can get in a better cell area. This Jim Barnett interview is something I definitely want to do, because I want to get to the bottom of the Warriors' issues from somebody who's watching it. And Jim, he's right. If the record was in reverse order, nobody would be talking about it. But
when things aren't going well, people look for reasons why things
especially
aren't going well.
And this is a team that's been together for a long time with a head coach that's very respected. So yeah, when something funky happens like this you got to wonder. Jim, again, just want to, your phone was in and out on us here. The Draymond Green, Jordan Poole thing, how much of an impact, if any, has that had on the beginning of this season?
Well, as I said, which you didn't hear, it's speculation that would affect things. I think more of the factor is they've lost Gary Payton II. They lost Otto Porter. The new guys haven't contributed as much. Obviously, when you have a physical injury, I thought DiVincenzo was going to be a really good player, but he's hardly played because he sprained his ankle early on. And things aren't going well, and they're not playing defense. I don't know where the defense has gone, but when you talk about the Warriors' defense, which is always very, very good, it's last in the league right now, and they're giving up a NBA high 121.4 points a game, and it's just unusual. So when the defense, and they're not closing games, they're not finishing games. They used to be able to finish games, but they haven't done that. Even though Curry's been terrific. Clay's still finding his way. He's good some nights. He's good some quarters, but he's not back to where he was. Jordan Poole is still a little inconsistent. I thought he might have a good game that last game in New Orleans, and instead he had a very bad game. And they could have. I think he could have made a difference, but he just couldn't get the ball in the basket and turned the ball over too many times. And the Warriors just aren't playing very well right now. But I don't think it has anything to do with what happened before. I think players and athletes, they're resilient, easy come, easy go. You're all still on the same team. And there were fights like that when I played amongst our teams and everything and other teams, but you get over it and you go on and you have a job to do, and that's what you do. And you don't think it's not as big a deal as people make it out to be.
How does Steve Kerr explain some of the struggles that you just listed off, namely the defense? Because that's been one of their calling cards throughout this stretch of success.
I know, but they are allowing other teams to get into the basket, points in the paint. They're getting killed points in the paint. They're not defending. They're not switching properly. And he's going to make up some lineup changes. We'll see what happens tonight. I wasn't privy to sit in on all the team meetings and everything and the coaches meetings, but we'll see what happens there a little bit. And also they're still going they're still going with the small lineup. Okay. And, Draymond Green, and instead of James Wiseman, you're starting Kevon Looney, who's 6'9", 6'8", 6'9", and they can't wait for Wiseman to produce. He's still, very young, and at age 21, but he's also young and experienced, and not playing many college games and not having experience that way. So he fouls, gets in foul trouble early, playing very, very few minutes. And so he's someone at 7 feet tall with long arms, can block shots and change shots inside. He's going to be really good. He's a terrific young man, but they've been getting beat on the boards, and it's taken a toll defending the rim. That's for sure.
Jim Barnett with us here, Warriors radio analyst. He's on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. You mentioned Jordan Poole, Jim, and some of the struggles he's had. He's off to a tough shooting start. Obviously, he got the big contract extension. Any reason for concerns just yet, or this is kind of the ebbs and flows of a season, and he's just off to a rough start?
I hope they're not stuck with a big contract like that, and he's not going to improve, or he's going to go. He's going to play like he played last year to earn the contract. I think he puts a little too much pressure on himself. I think he's trying too hard. I thought in New Orleans, he dribbled the ball too much rather than pass it around and let the game come to him. He tried to make the game and instead got in trouble with turnovers. And I think also in the game against Miami, he was called for palming the ball, which is carrying the ball 3 separate times. Everybody does it in this league nowadays. And I think that kind of spooked him a little bit, to tell you the truth. And he's probably second guessing going down the floor. Gee, I've got to be careful here. I don't want to get called for that again. And I think it took him off his game. So I'm not worried about him because he's proven in the past that he can shoot the ball. He can score. He's not afraid of anything. He just didn't have a great road trip.
I'm curious, what's your take on this Kings team and what this organization is trying to do, starting with the hire of a guy very well in Mike Brown, their head coach?
I think he's perfect for you. I think he's amenable to communication. He's going to be a good communicator. He can be hard and demanding on what he wants to be done, but I also think he understands, and he's got a nice voice about him. And I think he's a player-friendly coach. He's a great guy, and of course he was here for 6 years and worked right alongside Steve Kerr. He didn't, for everybody, and I think that he can get everybody to play, 1 through 9, 1 through 10, and keep everybody together. And by the way, I think your team is really built well, and this to me should be the best team you've had, I don't know, in a long, long time. I love Sabonis, that trade. This guy is really tough, and he's having a heck of a year so far. His field goal percentage and his rebounding, he's really, really tough. De'Aaron Fox is, he finally living up to the contract. I thought, Sacramento overpaid for him. I didn't think he was that good of a shooter, but he's having a heck of a year shooting, and his 3-point percentage has improved vastly. He can get to the basket and make plays, and he's very, very quick. So if he can keep that kind of shooting that he's doing right now, then you got a good deal with him. Harrison is going to be down a little bit because other people are coming up. Kevin Huerter, if I pronounce it right, in his 5th year, he's only 24 years old, and he can score. And I like him. You've got a lot of high picks. The 4th pick in the draft, the 7th pick in the draft, the 9th pick, the 5th pick. You've got a really good team, and it looks like to me you've got some people off the bench that can play and give you and spell the minutes like that. So if somebody gets hurt, you can put someone in there. I know your record's 3-5, but I think you're going to improve as the season goes on.
Jim, thanks. We appreciate the time. We know you're pretty tight with the game tonight. We appreciate you.
Hey, I appreciate your flexibility. Let me come on, and we'll do it again sometime. And I'm looking forward to watching the game because I don't work the home games. I only work the road games, but I'll be there. And I really like your team. And so I think you're going to surprise people.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate that. There goes Jim Barnett, Golden State Warriors radio analyst on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. I think one of the biggest issues for this Warriors team so far this year is James Wiseman. And I know Jim was diplomatic and, optimistic about James, but the fact is he's been bad and the team's been bad when he's been on the floor. And, they drafted him 2 overall. He's been hurt, and you wonder how long of a leash are they going to have for Wiseman? How long can they wait for him to turn this thing around? Because we're talking about the defending champion.
Right. I was reading TK's mailbag today, though, at The Athletic, and I didn't realize he's played in 49 NBA games.
Yeah.
James Wiseman has. So a little too early to have any conclusions on who that guy is in the NBA. Let's let him find his footing in this league before we make any final decisions.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just wonder how long can they be patient, given the expectations and what they've got to do. So it'll all be interesting. Jim Barnett also talked about De'Aaron Fox. Well, I thought he sent a message to all of his critics on Saturday. We're going to talk about that next.
Cattles and Ramie. Sactown Sports 1140.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. Divorce can be complicated, especially if children are involved. If you're a father and want to protect your role in your children's lives, remember Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men with matters like these for 30 years, and we'd love to help you.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Sacramento area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 500 Capitol Mall, Suite 2060, Sacramento, California, 95814. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Servicing your vehicle has never been so easy. At Northern California's #1 Honda dealer, Stockton Honda. Schedule your next service appointment anytime, anywhere at StocktonHonda.com. It only takes a minute to schedule, and our award-winning service team will have you back on the road in no time. Oil changes, tires, parts, and more.
Anytime, anywhere, it's all here. StocktonHonda.com.
I'm Craig Ashton of the injury law firm of Ashton & Price. Whether you've been injured on a bicycle, as a pedestrian in a slip and fall, auto, Uber, Lyft, or big rig accident, you need Ashton & Price in your corner. When you call Ashton & Price, there's no chatbot telling you to hit 3 for accounting. You're greeted by a real-life person who will immediately transfer you to an experienced attorney. The consultation's free, and there's never a fee until you win.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton & Price.
This is for the men who never settle. The
Business Technology Toshiba Studios. Sactown Sports 1140, the flagship station of your Sacramento Kings. Sactown Sports headlines.
The Purple's back in Cali. The Kings, fresh off an East Coast swing, are back on the Cali soil to take on the Golden State Warriors in San Francisco. Per usual, we'll have all the action beginning with game night, followed by the pregame, and of course, the G-Man with the tip. All the action begins immediately after the Cattles Ramie show at 5:30. Speaking of the NBA, we have a full slate on the docket today as all 30 teams are scheduled to play. At the moment, we have 4 games in action. Currently, with 2 minutes left in the second quarter, the Hornets lead the Wizards 42-40. Also in the second quarter, the Rockets lead the Magic 47-44. The Thunder lead the Pistons 21-20 with 2 minutes left in the first. And halfway through the first, the Pacers lead the Pelicans 17-12 with 6 minutes left. Someone who won't be playing tonight is LeBron, as he is scheduled to sit against the Jazz, as is Patrick Beverley and Lonnie Walker IV for the Lakers. Someone who will take the court today is Brooklyn Nets' Ben Simmons, as he'll play against the Mavs after sitting for 4 games due to left knee soreness. In the NFL, the Colts let go of their fifth-year head coach Frank Wright after a 3-5-1 start. The team named former center and current ESPN analyst Jeff Saturday as their interim head coach. Saturday had also been serving as a consultant for the team. Those are your Sac Sports 1140 headlines. I'm Jay Johnson. It's 5 o'clock, which means it's more of the Cattles and Ramie show. It's coming up right now.
Sacramento has a new tag team in the afternoons.
You're talking to the original tag team of ugly pukes here.
It's Cattles. It's Ramie. Sactown Sports 1140.
Yeah. A little bit different on a Monday. Still on the air at 5 o'clock, looking up at the TV screen, seeing Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. This doesn't usually happen for him.
I need the rest of the evening off.
That's it.
And not because I'm only used to working till 4:30 on a Monday, but because we saw Adam Schefter shirtless during the break, and I need to recover.
Adam Schefter doing his best Kirk Cousins impersonation on the pregame. For some reason, somebody felt the need to say, hey, let's have Schefter take off his shirt and put on a bunch of Dookie fake chains and have him dance very awkwardly on the pregame.
So I hate you.
And so
that's exactly how I felt.
That's what they did. That's what they decided to do.
Whoever that producer was, that's exactly how I felt.
Whoever made that decision.
I'm dripping wet, buck naked.
No, thank you. By the way,
that was the weekend.
Before I get into De'Aaron Fox and what he had to say to his critics on Saturday through his performance, I remember going back a couple weeks ago, we talked about this team, and I said, look, 3-7 in the first 10 games to me would be acceptable. We're here at 3-5.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
Now, hopefully they do better than that. Hopefully they can find a way to beat the Warriors tonight. I do have my concerns about this game. The Warriors coming off of a 0-6 road trip. They've been home all weekend, kind of stewing, waiting for this game. Of course, we know that the Kings coming back from a road trip, even though technically it's still a road trip, 90 minutes down the road. I don't really consider that too much of a road trip. But coming back from the East Coast, I would not be surprised if this could be a rough one tonight. But maybe I'm wrong. I also was surprised that they came back from 15 down against Charlotte. I was somewhat surprised that they came back from down 18 in Orlando.
Keep underestimating them, Nick.
That's
underestimating
the old reverse jinx trick.
Mm-hmm.
But I said 3-7, and the way I played it out was beat the teams that you should beat. Charlotte and Orlando, mission accomplished. Beat at least one good team to exceed the expectations. They did that against Miami, and they should have beaten Miami or could have beaten Miami twice. If who knows what happens after the hero missed call. So, again, I think you've got to be thrilled with this team so far, given the context and the schedule that they're dealing with. Not everything is perfect. Far from it. Defensively, still too many breakdowns, right? But when you look at this team, you've got a couple of character-building wins, 3-5 with the schedule. I think you feel good. And you have to feel good about De'Aaron Fox. And I know there's been this narrative that Fox can't close. And Bill Simmons has been at the very front of the line pushing this narrative. And as I've said, it's very difficult to close games when you don't have the support system. It's difficult to close games when you're constantly playing from behind. It's difficult to close games when you don't have guys that can shoot the basketball alongside you. It's difficult to close games when you're shuffling coaching staffs in and out. And this year was the year for De'Aaron. You and I said that before it tipped off. We said this is the year. It's the year that he has to prove he is a number one guy because he's got the coaching staff. This team is as talented and as deep as it's been in a long time, maybe even as long as a decade. This is his season to show up. And he's showing up in a big way. And I do get a kick out of the whole close thing, like the first 45 minutes of a game doesn't count. Like, he's not the reason why you even have a chance to win some of these games. But Ramie, another level on Saturday. And it's one game, yes. But when you look at what he did on Saturday, man, was he excellent after halftime. In the second half, 19 points, 6 of 10 from the field, 7 of 7 from the free throw line. He had 9 of the team's 20 points in overtime. He shot 4 of 5 from the field, including calling game from the logo with time expiring. Here was Fox on Saturday talking about the second half.
Beginning of the game, they hit us first, and they got off to a good start. But in the second half, we started getting stops. We got out and ran, and that's how you put together. That's how you put together a win on both ends of the court.
That's how you put together a win. Here was Fox describing his game winner.
I mean, you ask any basketball player, probably at any level, when the ball is going in and you have that, and you have a rhythm, the basket starts looking like the ocean. And like I said, I shot that ball, and it felt good the entire way. I tried to get as straight in line with the basket as I possibly could. So then there's no variant, no left, right, and you just got to get it there.
I'm glad he wants it. You know what I mean? I'm glad there's no hesitation in that dude when he gets the ball in his hands in that moment. And we played the clip of Mike Brown earlier talking about De'Aaron Fox using his superpower, which is his speed. Just get that ball, go up court, and have the faith in yourself. Despite, I'm sure I haven't been here the whole time, Nick, but I'm sure there have been reasons that people have doubted De'Aaron Fox, and De'Aaron Fox could have very well let that creep into his own mindset and his own psyche and have those own doubts about himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It doesn't look like there's any of that there. Does this silence all the critics? No, that's going to take a while. You might have to make an all-star game or get this team into the playoffs before people stop talking about De'Aaron Fox and really the Kings as a whole in some sort of way. But it's a step in the right direction. This whole, like you said, Nick, we were looking at 3-7 in the first 10, and with 3 wins already under the belt, and with the chance to get a couple more before we get to that 10-game mark where the schedule eases up a little bit. So far, so good, and a lot of what we've seen to this point seems like a step in the right direction. You need D. Fox to be that dude. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
And dudes do what he did last night if you're going to be that dude.
No doubt. 2 things that, we need to see consistency from Fox before we start to say, yeah, he's totally proven as the one guy. So far, so good. But his shooting has to remain consistent, and his engagement defensively needs to be consistent. When you look at him, what he's done this year, he's averaging 26 a game, but it's his shooting. He's 55% from the field. Now, of course, you can't expect that to remain the case. If he shoots 55.5% from the field for the entire year, my goodness, that's crazy. He is shooting just under 30%, 37% from 3. And that's the number I was talking about before the beginning of the year. I had said if Fox can give you 36, 37% from 3, that changes the entire dynamic of his offense, because now cats have to respect him. Now they have to go out on him. And his ability to go downhill and his quickness gets him into the paint. If you can shoot 36, 37% from 3, now defenders have a headache. They got a problem. He's also shooting 87.5% from the free throw line. He's looking like a 1A right now. And he's also been consistently engaged defensively. Has he been perfect defensively? No. I've seen him fall asleep a couple times. He fell asleep a couple times in Orlando. I'm not telling you he's going to play, if he plays 40 minutes, he's going to give you 40 minutes of rock-solid, nonstop, unbelievable defense filled with effort. But this is a guy who looks engaged, and he's giving you effort on the defensive end, and teams follow their leader, Ramie, and De'Aaron Fox is the leader. So with these character-building wins and what they've done, he gets credit for 2 out of the 3. He wasn't there in Charlotte for the second half. But I think he's off to a tremendous start. I think, games like Saturday go a long way to silence his critics. And he so far has shown that he is able to handle the expectations that people had, not only for this team, but also for him individually.
Yeah, I'm loving watching it so far this season. The injury, it's too bad he had that injury and it kept him out a few games, because when you're trying to build something like the Kings are trying to build here, and you're putting so much of it on De'Aaron Fox, you want that process to really get started and to get where you're trying to go as quickly as possible. But it doesn't seem like the injury set him back or slowed him down at all, based on, although maybe a little bit of rust in the first half. Maybe that's what we were looking at there. But man, he looks good so far early this season. He looks like who put it on the record that he'll be an all-star? One of us put it on the record. De'Aaron Fox will be. I think it was JJ. I think JJ said he would.
Was it JJ?
Am I right about that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think.
He said
someone is going to be
one all-star. Okay, all right.
You can give some credit to JJ. You're going to give him some.
Well, if it comes true, then it's credit. Otherwise,
we'll just say, yeah, the one all-star I meant was
Adam Schefter is all over my timeline now, shirtless. Can we?
You can log out.
Can we please stop?
You can log out of Twitter.
I need to be on Twitter for my job.
916-339-1140 is the text line. The phone number is 1-800-920-1140. Don't forget, all guests come to you from the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Also, visit us on YouTube, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. Give us the thumbs up and subscribe.
Isn't there some kind of company firewall that should keep a shirtless Adam Schefter off my computer?
It does.
Like, I know they block a bunch of websites and certain things, and it doesn't keep shirtless Adam. They're not protecting me from that.
It does seem a little non-safe for work,
right?
Yeah, it does.
It's got to be those Twitter layoffs. That's really pushing it through.
Now you're onto something. All right, so Fox has been fantastic, but in 90 seconds, I do think something we have to discuss is Keegan Murray. And we'll talk about Keegan and some of his struggles lately coming up in 90 seconds.
Log on to Sactown Sports' YouTube channel. Follow. Talking sports and lots of other stuff.
Those keep you on edge. That's really crazy interesting.
It's Cattles and Ramie, Sactown Sports 1140.
All right, my last reminder tonight, join me on the Kings Recap Show, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. Following Warriors Kings tonight, right on our YouTube page again. I will be hosting the Kings Recap, 15, 20 minutes breakdown of the game. We interact with all of you. We do it after each and every Kings game this season. Sactown Sports 1140, youtube.com is where you need to be. Most of the day, Ramie, we've been very positive and optimistic about this Kings team, and rightfully so. You know, they deserve the credit. They've had 3 great wins this year. Every single win was a great win, given the nature of how they had to win. Beating Miami at Golden 1, when I don't think a lot of people thought they had a chance going into that game 0-4. Winning in Charlotte down 15 at the half without De'Aaron Fox. Winning Saturday down by 18, as much as 20 in the third quarter. These are character-building wins. These are fantastic wins by any basketball team, but especially this basketball team. However, we do have to talk about Keegan. Because as I said in the show meeting today, if Keegan had 3 great games, If Keegan was averaging 25 points in the last 3 games, we'd be pumping tires, doing cartwheels. So it's only fair to talk about Keegan and the fact that in his last 3 games, he's averaging 7 and 3. And he's not only averaging 7 and 3, Ramie, he's shooting 31% from the floor. He's shooting under 25% from three-point land. Your thoughts on what we've seen from Keegan now 3 nights in a row?
I'm not too worried or too surprised, Nick. You know what I mean? When he had his first, I think it was last week when I was hosting the recap show, and he had his first game in this bad stretch. And I reminded myself, and I reminded all the viewers at youtube.com/Sactown Sports that we have to remember he is a rookie. Yeah. You know what I mean? For all the composure that he showed and all the success that he had in the summer league and then in the preseason and to start the season the way that he did, it's easy to forget. It's easy and it's easy to get your hopes and your expectations up to a level where there's a certain level of performance that you expect to see from him night in and night out. And that's not fair. It's not fair to Keegan Murray or any rookie in this league. So I reminded myself that night, and I continue to remind myself that this is probably par for the course. This is probably something that we should expect. There will be stretches. We're talking, 8 games into his NBA career? Yeah, there are going to be some growing pains, man.
Yeah, I'm not panicked. I am not panicked, but I will look at some of these things and discuss them because I think it's worthwhile to discuss them. One of the things that stands out to me, and this is something I talked about a little bit in the offseason when we talked about Rookie of the Year stuff, and I said, look, Paolo Banchero is going to put that thing in a headlock rather quickly, and I think that's coming to fruition. Banchero is just terrific. But also, Banchero gets all of the opportunities that he wants. And you saw that on Saturday. I mean, there's not much of a better comparison than Saturday when you've got Paolo Banchero having all of the opportunity and all of, he took 26 shots on Saturday. 26 shots. I want to look this up. How many shots has Keegan taken in the last 4 games, let alone 1 game? I need to pull this up. Let's see. 7, 6, 13. Okay, so Keegan, during this 3-game rough patch, he's taken a total of 28 shots.
That is, if anything about this stretch is concerning, that's it. Because I don't want to see him get discouraged. I don't want to see him lose confidence in that medal that he showed through to this point.
And that's tops on my list. The first thing, because again, panicked? No. But you still look at certain things regarding his play and what's happening and why is it happening. And one of the things, the first thing that sticks out to me is 13 combined shots his last 2 games. And we talked about in the offseason, we talked about his opportunities when he was coming back from COVID. And the idea that he is the 3rd option, 4th option, if you've got Herter and Monk cooking, he might be the 5th option. He's just, I don't know what the answer is because I would like to sit here and say, get him shots. But I also understand that Fox is going to get shots. Domas is going to get shots. When Herter is shooting 50% from 3 going into Saturday, he's going to get shots. But I would like them to get the ball to Keegan tonight a few times in his first stretch. His first few minutes, get him the basketball and try to get him involved and get him a bucket or 2 early.
I don't know if there's any way to know this, but I do wonder if the lack of shots in the last 3 games is Keegan losing confidence and passing up on shots, if it's by design and the Kings are going, well, he's got a cold hand, maybe we go elsewhere right now.
Yeah.
Or if it's something that defenses are throwing at him right now and taking away the shots that he was hitting to this point in the little bit of action that we did see.
And that leads me perfectly to my second point watching him.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. His shot creation, it was a question coming into the league. Could he create his own shot against some of the more athletic guys? He's been mostly, you've seen him drive and he's hit a couple of floaters and stuff, but he's not like Captain ISO. He's not a guy who's like, give me the basketball and I'm going to give you 4 or 5 moves. I'm going to break this dude down, and I'm going to score on him no matter what. He's not necessarily that kind of offensive player, at least not yet. So I think when you look at the 13 combined shots, it kind of falls into 2 categories for me. It's the lack of shot creation on a consistent level, and I also think there's not much inside. He's not scoring a lot inside. Even his buckets inside the 3-point line, they're those kind of driving floaters he takes every once in a while. He has, fast break points, obviously. But that was another thing that we discussed, Ramie, before the draft. When he was in the Big Ten, when he was playing for Iowa, some of the issues he had to do with finishing around bigger, stronger guys. And that was one of the questions. Not that he can't get better at it. He certainly can. But it's just 2 of the questions when people said, well, Nick, why aren't you as high about his potential of being like a top 20 player one day? 2 of the things I mentioned offensively were, shot creation. Can he do that at the NBA level consistently? And is he going to be able to finish in traffic? And is he comfortable going down into the paint? And what you don't see from him is posting up.
Yeah.
You don't see him in the paint. And so, and I think that was when we talked to him media day, Ramie, when we asked him what he was more comfortable with, he said a wing. And I said it at the time. I'm not surprised he said it because offensively he plays like a wing, and I don't think he's super comfortable banging bodies down in the paint. And so if you're not great at shot creation, you're not really a super strong ISO player, and you're not the most comfortable going down in the paint, you're relying on guys to find you for threes and sometimes mid-range jumpers and fast break points.
It would be nice to see him bounce back tonight and snap out of
It'd be great. It'd be great. And I do wonder if he's not because of his confidence, but is he uncomfortable demanding the basketball? Because he's got Fox, he's got Domas, Herter's been shooting great. Even Harrison Barnes, right? A fellow guy from Iowa, they talk all the time. Does he kind of acquiesce to HB because HB, he sees him as a mentor? And so maybe slowly but surely he will get to, hey, demanding the basketball, saying, no, give it to me. I want to get going here tonight.
Whatever the reason is, I want to see more shots going up. Whatever the reason is that he hasn't been getting them to this point, and even if it's forcing 1 or 2, I just want to see him get those shots up so I know he's not losing his confidence and composure.
And I know we've heard, right? When we've talked to the coaches. We've talked to Jordy, we've talked to Jay, we've talked to Doug. And I know they say, look, we don't call plays. Our offense is not necessarily driven by, calling plays. Okay. So is that going to be a problem for Keegan? Because if you're not calling plays and he's not finding those spots on the floor for those open threes and those catch and shoot opportunities, is he comfortable getting the basketball and saying, let me go to work? I think dependent on matchup, he has shown it at times, but that's not something he has done consistently. So tonight, I would like to. It reminds me of the game when we were all talking about HB struggling offensively. And the first possession, they gave it to him, and they were like, here, go to work. I would like to see them get Keegan involved early tonight.
Design some stuff for him to get him the ball and get him open and get him some good shots.
Get him going. Thanks to Verlad. Thanks to JJ. Great job. Thanks to all of you watching and listening. Again, I'll be doing the recap show, youtube.com, Sactown Sports, 1140 tonight, following Warriors, Kings. We've got game night for you. We've got the pregame, we got the game, we got the postgame, all sorts of coverage. 3 and 5. Will they be 4 and 5 tomorrow? We'll see. Until then, for Ramie, it's Cattles and Ramie, Sactown Sports.
Like a preemie out the womb. My partner yelling too soon. Don't do it. Reconsider. Read some liquor.